Hello everybody, and welcome to Appalachian Cemetery Hunting with Robin. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some cemeteries in one of the state parks here in Tennessee. And that state park is Big Ridge State Park, and it's located in Union County just north of Knoxville, as shown on this map. The park consists of just over 3,600 acres and was part of the Norris Dam project by the Tennessee Valley Authority in the 1930s. And the park itself was established in 1949. And here are 4 pictures that we took on a hike in the park a couple of years ago. Now there are 4 actual cemeteries we're going to look at, and then we will look at a place where a settler was ambushed by Indians in the late 1700s. So let's get started. First, we will look at the Hutchinson Cemetery. And the first person there is D.L. Coppock, 1910 to 1911. And this baby was only 11 months old. Next, we have Estella Snodderly Graham, 1906 to 1932. Now we have Pauline Grissom, 1926 to 1931. And this is a picture of her death certificate, and it states that she died of diphtheria. Next, we have Mary Snodderly Helms, 1875 to 1916. And you'll notice her headstone does not have her married name carved on it. That's kind of unusual. Next, we have Alice Hutchison. That first name was spelled A-L-Y-S, 1923 to 1924. And this is a picture of her death certificate. However, I could not make out the cause of death. Next, we have Daniel Hutchison, 1867 to 1929, and his wife, Magnolia Kuntz Hutchison, and she went by Nola, 1877 to 1933. Next, we have Nella May Hutchison, 1921 to 1922, and she was only 1 year old when she died. Next, we have Parley Hutchison, 1871 to 1927. Next is Trula Hutchison, 1904 to 1911, and she was only 6 years old when she passed. Next, we have Edward Hutchison. He was born in 1921, however, we do not have a death date. Next, we have J.E.H. Hutchison, 1925 to 1926. And this child was only 7 months old. Next, we have Lizzie Lodoska Hutchison, and I hope I pronounced that middle name right. It's spelled L-O-D-O-S-G-A. 1911 to 1912, and she was only 6 months old when she passed away. Next, we have Naomi Wright Hutchison, 1885 to 1917. Now we have Calvin Lyons, 1844 to 1931. And he served as a private in Company G of the 7th Tennessee Mounted Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we had Alfred Brownlow Loy, 1860 to 1932. Now we have Clara J. Lloyd, 1931 to 1933, and she was just under 2 years old when she passed. Next, we have Earl Gene Loy, August of 1928 to November of 1928, and he was just over 2 months old when he passed. Next, we have John M. Loy, 1874 to 1927. Now we have Paralee Hutchison Loy, 1868 to 1948. Next, we have Glenn W. McCoy, 1926 to 1929, and he was just 3 years old when he passed. Next, we have John Doc Rutherford, 1880 to 1929. Now we have Sarah McCoy Settle, 1862 to 1929. Next is Ethel Sophia Snodderly, 1909 to 1929. Now we have Gladys Gertrude Snodderly, 1905 to 1923. Next is Louis Snodderly, and he went by Lute, L-U-T-E, 1842 to 1890. And he was in Company H of the 9th Tennessee Cavalry of the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Louis Snodderly, 1910 to 1920. And now we have Sherman Parn Snodderly, 1867 to 1929, and his wife, Mary Jane Wilhelm Snodderly, 1869 to 1934. Now, you'll notice on her side of the headstone, there's no death date, just the number 19. And I got the actual death date from findagrave.com. Now, there are 2 graves in this cemetery without a picture of them, and they are John M. Lloyd, 1845 to 1912, and his wife, Mary York Lloyd, 1844 to 1914. Now, there's a husband and wife who were from the area of what is now Big Ridge State Park, but are not buried here, but they have a very interesting story. That is Louis Bratcher Hutchison. He went by LB, 1884 to 1935. And he was elected sheriff of Union County in 1930. And on December 6, 1935, there were 3 bank robbers that made their way to the Citizens Bank in Tazewell, Tennessee, where they held up the bank and got away with $2,000 in cash. And they made their getaway down Highway 33 towards Knoxville. Now, what I'm getting ready to read you is from the Union County Historical Society, and I quote, "About 7 miles from Maynardville, in a short distance beyond the bridge over the Clinch River, and that is now Norris Lake, the officers parked beside the highway. A car with 3 male passengers passed them at top speed. Deputy Matthews, who was with Sheriff Hutchison, swung the car around and began a chase. The speeding sedan stopped at the south end of the bridge and turned sideways, blocking the highway." Now, this picture here is not of the robbers, but 2 of the gangsters got out and stood on the roadside beside the car. One was holding a .45 caliber automatic pistol concealed partly by his trousers. Matthews stopped his car a short distance away, and he and the sheriff got out. In a soft tone, Hutchison began to speak to the boys but never finished the sentence. One of the bank robbers raised his weapon and opened fire. The first shot went wild, hitting the windshield, but the second struck Sheriff Hutchison squarely between the eyes. The gunman then trained his weapon on Deputy Matthews, who was now out of ammunition, and ordered him to surrender. At that time, a Greyhound bus pulled in behind Sheriff Hutchison's car and stopped. The bank robber went to the bus with his .45 flashing and told the driver and passengers that he had just killed the Union County Sheriff. After boasting, he left the bus and paused a few moments to look at the body of the fallen sheriff before returning to the getaway car and heading towards Maynardville. Now, L.B. Hutchison's wife, Della, took over the job of sheriff of Union County and became the 3rd woman to be sheriff in the state of Tennessee. She passed away on June 3, 1960, at the age of 71. Now, both L.B. and his wife, Della, are buried in the New Loyston Cemetery in Union County, Tennessee. Now we will look at the Langley Cemetery, and it only has 4 people buried in it. The first one is Everett Langley, 1930 to 1931, and he died when he was only 1 year old. Now, this is a picture of his death certificate, and it says he died of colitis. Now we have Edward P. Lloyd, 1926 to 1932, and he was only 6 years old when he passed away. Next, we have Zola May Richardson, March of 1924 to January of 1925, and she was only 9 months old when she passed away. Now, there is a grave with no picture of it, and it is the grave of Sarah Maud Walker Carroll, 1888 to 1920. Next, we're going to look at the Snotterly Arp Cemetery, and there are 19 people buried here. First, we have John Hutchison, 1823 to 1908, and he served in Company F of the 6th Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Now we have John Hutchison, 1805 to 1889. Next, we have Sarah Irick Hutchison, 1800 to 1893. Next, we have Odom Langley, July of 1914 to October of 1914. He was only 3 months old when he died. And this is a picture of his death certificate, but I could not make out the cause of death. Next, we have Ruthie Malone, 1881 to 1883. And she was only 2 years old when she passed. Next, we have Betty McCoy, 1881 to 1896. Next, we have Elizabeth Snotterly McCoy, 1837 to 1914. And her death certificate shown here states that she died of cerebral apoplexy, and I hope I pronounced that right, possibly caused from a stroke. Next, we have Elvin McCoy, 1867 to 1908. Now we have Fleming C. McCoy, 1833 to 1908. And next we have J. McCoy, and that's the initial J. We do not know when they were born or when they died. Now, as I was studying this headstone, the first name looks like it might be Jaro, J-A-R-O, or Jared, spelled J-A-R-O-D. And toward the bottom, I can make out an 18. And I'll give you a few seconds to see what you think. Now we have Susan McCoy, 1862 to 1892. Now we have a Susan A. McCoy, 1877 to 1896. Now we have Henry Snotterly, 1833 to 1862. Now you'll notice the letters above his name, and we tried to figure them out but could not do it. We're wondering if it stands for some kind of fraternal organization. And I'll give you some time to look at it. Again, we cannot make it out, but if you can, please tell us what you think. Next, we have John Calvin Snotterly, 1835 to 1912. You'll notice he has the same letters on his headstone that Henry Snotterly had on his. Next, we have Maud Snotterly, December 1908 to October of 1909. And she was only 10 months old when she died. And according to what somebody posted on findagrave.com, she was burned in a fire. Next, we have Nancy Catherine Butcher Snotterly, 1840 to 1916. And the carving of a cross and a crown is on her stone stands for victory and Christianity. Next, we have Daniel Snodely, that's Snodely, 1810 to 1892, and his last name may be an earlier variation of Snodderly. Next, we have Rachel Whitten Snodley, 1812 to 1885, and she was the wife of Daniel Snodley that we just looked at. And finally, in this cemetery, we have Rutha C. Snodley Troxler, 1855 to 1896. Now, folks, we're going to be looking at the Norton Cemetery, and there are only 12 people buried here. A couple of years ago, Robin and I went on a small hike in the park and came across this little cemetery as we were videoing our hike. It's about 6 minutes long, so here it is, and afterwards I'll give you some details about the people in it.
Okay, come up on some posts here. Oh, whoa. All right. Got a cemetery here. Whoa. Look at this. Wow. Some graves. What was this? The Norton, did it say? Norton, okay, right here. Harm Norton. Born in 1844, died in 1916. Wow. Okay. I'm sure there's unmarked graves because you can see the really sunk graves. Wow. There's another sunken grave. Thursa, wife of Harm Norton, 1829, 1916. So they died the same year. See if they died the same day. That says August 3rd. What's that one say? Right directly in front of her is her husband.
Harm Norton died 1916, May 27th.
So she died a few months after him. This is Martha J., wife of Maston A. Hutchison. I'm not sure you can see it all. Born in 1827, died in 1910. And this must be her husband. Yep. Wow, look at that marking. Maston A. Hutchison. Born February the 12th, 1826, died February the 6th, 1910.
This guy here, Harm Norton.
Yeah.
Company A, 9th Tennessee Cavalry.
Company A, 9th Tennessee Cavalry. Okay. Wow, this is just, here's a little stone. Not sure. Let's see if I can rub it. Let's see here what it is. Born, oh man, I can't. Jones, it's a Jones and it's upside down. Okay, there we go. It's the son of, looks like, I'm not sure, C.M. or M.A. and M.A. Jones. Born in 19, can't tell, it's broke. Looks like a baby grave. Here's Rachel Branham. Like a newer stone somebody's erected there. George Branham. Branham. George Branham. Born in 1858, died in 1916. Wow. Okay. Oh, somebody kind of handmade that one. Ibby. Wonder if that's like a baby or maybe an animal. Yeah, it could be a family pet. Don't know. Miss S.M., wife of J.D. Branham, 1881, 1926. And Dolly G. Branham, 1905 to 1929. Wow. So, yeah, I was showing the unmarked graves. So, any of you guys out there know Branhams, Hutchisons, Nortons? from Union County. They're up here in Big Ridge State Park, Indian Trail. Pretty solemn little graveyard, but it's actually a little sweet place at somebody's family's. I've been buried here. Really quiet, peaceful. It's okay. I got another one. Let me show you one more before I go. What's that one say? Oh, okay. Nothing on the other side? No. All right. So there's another. Yeah, another grave. But it's so old, it's faded. Here is the Norton Cemetery. It says it's the final resting place for some of the families that lived along this ridge and the hollows on each side. This cemetery has marked burials from 1907 until 1926. Maston Hutchinson, the subject of many local legends, is buried here, along with his wife and some of his descendants. He has no headstone. So he could be some of the sunken in, unmarked graves, I'm sure. Yeah. So, anyway, here's the Norton Cemetery. Small, quaint. Man, back in nowhere. Pretty cool. All right, I'm going to get off here until I reach another milestone.
All of this was a small community tucked away in the mountains before the park was formed, and the people lived off the land and the rivers starting in the 18th century and until the 1930s. There are several, shall we say, strange legends associated with the park. The Norton grist mill you see here is a reproduction of the 1825 mill, which was in operation until the 1930s. And there's a legend that a man hanged his daughter there on suspicion of her being a witch. Now, as most of you already know, we are not ghost hunters, but let's look at some of these stories from within the park.
Okay, we made it. Not too bad. Actually, not too bad at all. It's just a little stuffy. So, anyway, there is, the sign says a root cellar, cistern, and well casing are all that remain of the homestead of Maston Hutchinson's grandson, George Jones. Okay. So this house, connected to the local ghost stories, the nearby Hutchinson family home was also believed to be haunted. Please do not disturb or dig around the house side. It's illegal to remove artifacts from the park. Okay. No problem. See some of these old rocks. There's, this one is, I don't know. It's just a big, could be a cistern well, pre-dug. Oh, you found the well? Okay. So this must be the cisterns. You can see the rocks. If you look right in there, kind of lined it. Let's see what we got here. Oh, man, this is way up in the wilderness. But that's how people lived back then, I guess. I guess these are some old stones that was probably for the foundation. You can tell that's been pre-cut out. Don't rightly know unless it's something to do with the root cellar, maybe, for air vent. Really? I mean, it's cool and all, but I don't see anything here. There's another. What would you think that would be? Cistern? No?
It could be.
I don't know.
The well casing's right over there.
Yeah, they filled it in, the park has, or nature. I don't know. I don't think I want to take anything home, being that it is illegal to do so. But especially if it's got some kind of, for say, haunting. Oh, okay, here's the well. Now that's cool.
It's filled in.
Oh, it's filled in so
But
nobody can.
Yeah, you can see some of it.
But people can't like get down in there and get hurt.
Yeah.
but you would think there'd be animal bones where they would get stuck. But somebody's put a log there, so that was probably a good idea. Okay, man, I can't imagine, which would be pretty cool, but to live, I mean, literally in the wilderness. I don't know how many homes.
I don't know if George Jones wrote a song
I
there.
think you got the wrong George Jones, but there's a big old tree I'd say was here back then. Anyway, we didn't pass anything that we seen. Of course, the underbrush and everything's really growed up right now, so you may have to come back in the fall if you're interested. But I didn't see any more old home sites, or it never posted anything on our way up. Okay, so there's another site. Okay. All right, so we're going to walk on just a little bit farther and see if we can find the Hutchison site. I thought this was the Hutchison home.
No, this is George Jones' home.
Okay, George Jones lived here at one time. Not the singer, but George Jones. Oh, cool little flower. Don't know what that is. Somebody can tell me. But, okay, we're going to go on down the trail just a little bit past George Jones's house. All right, George, we will talk to you later, man. Here's another big old tree. I'm sure that was probably just a sapling at the time. All right, so I'm going to go on down through here, and I'll get back at you.
Now, this is not the Hutchison cabin, but the most pervasive ghost stories surround the Hutchison family and their home, the ruins of which can still be found deep inside the park. During the late 1800s, the Hutchison daughter Mary was struck with tuberculosis. Visitors were walking the trail to the Hutchison home to visit the sick girl when they heard a dog running toward them. They lifted their lanterns but saw no dog. When they reached the Hutchison home, the visitors learned the girl had died at the exact same time they were approached by the so-called phantom dog. The Hutchison house itself was supposedly haunted even before young Mary passed away. According to local lore, there was so much ghost activity in and around that home that neighbors started fleeing the area even before the Tennessee Valley Authority Act condemned the land to make room for Norris Lake. Hikers say the ghost of Maston Hutchison, Mary's father, visits campers who hike to his grave and even shows up in pictures taken at the Norton Cemetery, his final resting place. Other hikers still encounter the phantom dog, which is somehow linked to Mary Hutchinson's death and afterlife. Now, I should note that Mary is not buried in the Norton Cemetery, since she likely died in the 1840s or 1850s, and the Norton Cemetery is not that old. Local legends also has it that Maston wanders the woods. Another oft-repeated tale about the cemetery is that in some photographs of the cemetery, silhouettes of the occupants can be seen by their graves. The grave of Maston Hutchison is sunken, which no doubt has inspired some of the tales that his spirit wanders the park. Now let's look at some details about some of the people buried in this cemetery. Of course, we've been talking about Maston Hutchison. He was born in 1826 and died in 1910. He served in Company B of the 11th Tennessee Cavalry in the Union Army during the Civil War, and he enlisted at Camp Nelson, Kentucky on August 15, 1863. Next is Hiram Norton, 1844 to 1916. And you'll notice on his headstone the first name is spelled Harm, H-A-R-M. The Hiram, H-A-R-A-M, comes from how it's spelled on Find a Grave. And and he served as a private in Company H of the 9th Tennessee Cavalry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have a stonework that got a little bit of history to it. The only thing that's carved on the stone is the name Ibby, I-B-B-Y. There's no last name, and there are no birth or death dates. Now, in the video you just watched, we were not sure at the time if this was a child or maybe even a pet's grave. But according to Find a Grave, it's a little girl whose parents were James Daniel Branham, and he went by Dan, 1884 to 1974. And he is buried at the Copper Ridge Methodist Baptist Cemetery in the Halls community in North Knox County, Tennessee. And her mother, Sarah Pike Branham, 1881 to 1926, who is buried in this cemetery. But notice how her last name is spelled on the stone. It's spelled B-R-A-N-N-E-M, not B-R-A-N-U-M. And according to her death certificate, she died of tuberculosis. Now, there are two graves with no pictures, and they are Sarah C. Jones Branham, 1883 to 1904, Margaret Hughes Norton, 1842 to 1914. And finally, we're going to look at one of the highest points inside the park. It's called Ambush Rock. Close to this location was Sharp Station, which was founded around 1784. Now, on findagrave.com, there are two people listed as being buried here, but personally, I believe this is a mistake. This cemetery is located near the waters of Norris Lake inside the park. The station itself was located near the peak of the ridge, and access to where this cemetery is located is best done by boat. And trust us, that is true. A couple of years ago, Robin and I hiked to Ambush Rock from near the main entrance of the park, and the trail was listed for being for expert hikers. Here are a few pictures of us on our trip up to Ambush Rock. Once we reached the summit, we did a live feed on Facebook. And that video is just under 8 minutes long. And here it is. Now, after the video ends, we will look at some of the information about the site.
Guys, we made it. And according to the map, this trail, which was for expert hikers. But hey, we did it. We are at Ambush Rock. Let's see. Hang on. Here, hold my stick. Pull me over there. Don't let go. You'll impale me. Okay. Here we go. Here we are. The site of Indian ambush of November. Let me see if I can. No, I can't. November 13th, 1704 or 94? 94? Okay. Hiding between these two huge boulders, Indians ambushed, killed, and scalped Peter Graves, a pioneer settling from Sharp Station located 1/2 mile to the north. Erected in 1968 by the descendants of the early settlers of this area, under the leadership of Professor W.H. Thomas, and in cooperation with the Tennessee Department of Conservation. So between these two boulders, that guy, they was waiting for him. The Indians, right? But look, guys, look over here in the distance. It's Norris Lake. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful view. Look at that. But hey, I'll tell you, this was a booger to get to. Rough trail, but we made it. Get on the rock, Gregory. Let's see. Yeah, so pretty. So, question. Anybody got a boat or on the river right now, on the lake in this area? Because I think we can make the lake faster than we can get back to the parking lot. Just saying. Anyway. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's beautiful. Not a soul up here. I swear we didn't even hear birds singing. Nothing. Oh, it is. Let me see if I can get down here and look on the other side, because like I said earlier, I bit the dust once coming down a hill. But you can't see your footing in all these dead leaves. This is the overhang. That's where we come from. There's the lake out in the distance. It's so blue and pretty. It's beautiful up here. Yeah? Why? Can I get around that way without killing myself? Can I come through here? Oh, I'm trying, guys. Hang on. Danielle Boone is trying to follow Daniel Boone. Hang on. Mark's watching. Hang on. I got my stick. Oh, gosh. You're trying to kill me. Oh, here's the overhang of ambush rock. So they's apparently waiting on that man underneath these rocks, which, good hiding place. Wow, look at that. See that? That is too cool.
Hey, Mark. Remember that movie we see, Quest for Fire? Does this remind you of anything in that movie?
Oh, Lord, why did you mention that movie of all movies on my live feed?
You'll know.
Lord. Anyway, so, yeah. Here's where the Indians apparently hid out for the poor guy. Tell you, if a storm come up on you and it started raining hard, this would be a place to look at a little cubby hole. Wow, don't you look, guys? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I may not be able to move tomorrow. Or maybe this afternoon. Heating pad and ice packs, I guess. But hey, this was totally worth it. It is absolutely beautiful. A little treacherous, though, because like I said, all of these leaves down on the ground. And there are so many rocks that you can't see. Like, see? And it just throws you off. So it's kind of a dangerous place. Look at that. Yeah, I'm coming that way. Oh, okay. Wow. And you know what's the nice thing about it? There's no graffiti. Nobody's carved their initials or walked up here and spray painted their names or initials. It's just so natural. Everything's still in its natural state. Oh, are you kidding? There's a carving? Seriously? Okay. Oh, wow, the tree stump's eating the rock. Look at that, guys. I guess we are considered expert hikers now. Where do you see a name?
No. That rock right there. That carving. The overhang. See it?
I don't see carvings, no. Wow, guys. How beautiful. And if you just listen, stop for a minute. All you hear is the leaves blowing in the wind. Nothing else. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, man. Why they picked this ridge, this mountainside, is beyond me. But, yeah. This poor guy got scalped and... Oh, and I'm trying to get down this way, so... If the phone goes tumbling, Try not to laugh too hard because I'll be right behind it. Oh, wow. How are you doing this, Gregory? Yeah. I am not crawling underneath that lid. There's some more of the ambush rock. I tell you, ain't nothing like East Tennessee. It's beautiful. These old trees. Just imagine the Indians. Man, they had to be in good shape to hoop and holler all over these ridges. Because we're way up here. I ain't kidding you. Look at that holler down there. We are way up here. So I hope y'all enjoy. And I hope to see you later. See you later.
The only person we believe to be buried near the side of the fort was Peter Graves. He was born in 1753 and died in 1794. He was born in Greenwich Township, Berks County, Pennsylvania. The spot where he was killed is in Union County, Tennessee, but in 1794, prior to the establishment of the state of Tennessee, it was actually Knox County, North Carolina. His brother was Boston Graves, 1747 to 1840, who fought in the American Revolution. And if you remember, we did a short video on his cemetery a couple of years ago. Now this is a picture of a plaque with some details about Sharp Station, and I'll give you time to read it. Now this monument is on the approximate site of Sharp Station. And due to Robin falling at one point during the hike and hurting her knee, it was after dark by the time we got back to the car. And no, we cannot explain the white whatever it is in the picture. Who knows? Well folks, that will do it for this video. We sincerely hope you liked it. There's a lot of history and some weird stories and legends in this little state park. And maybe this video has helped somebody with their family history. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. We would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, God bless.